I am so thrilled to be back with an old friend, Ashanti Branch, who is one of my favorite movers and shakers and change makers out there. Welcome, Ashanti. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. I want to read your bio for folks so they can get a good background of the man, the legend that we're going to be talking about today. Ashanti Branch is a recipient of the 2023 U.S. Surgeon General's Medallion, four times TEDx speaker, caster, and Fulbright Fellow. His work with youth as an emotional locksmith has been featured on CNN's This Is Life with Lisa Ling and on The Kelly Clarkson Show. He is the founder and executive director of the Ever Forward Club, a nonprofit organization dedicated to eliminating the student dropout rate through youth mentorship. And he is the creator of the award-winning Million Mask Movement with 75,000 participants worldwide. The last time we really connected, I was working with you to start getting the Million Mask Movement off the ground. And it's amazing that now you have over 75,000 people. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. As of the latest update, as of a week ago, we're at 86,838.
Woo!
Yeah, we're getting close to that first 100,000 milestone, which is really exciting.
Congratulations. Well, I want to dive deep into the Million Mask Movement, but I think the first place that I want to start off with is I sometimes like to start off talking about how a lot of movements are actually built from pain and our own journey. And I think that you have a really powerful one. And so I'd love to dive into that story, your hero's journey of pain to purpose and what brought you to the threshold of Ever Forward and the Million Mask Movement.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for the bio. Sometimes the bio makes me feel nervous. I'm trying to learn how to embrace it. When I think about my own journey and the hero's journey, when you think about where the start of it was, it probably started many times. It's like many iterations of being called to an adventure, being called to a journey, being called to follow your heart, being called to make a decision that is going to impact the future of your life. And the way
And
the
the
hero
future
journey
of other people's lives.
and potentially the future of other people's lives. I believe there's a lot of people out there who don't care about other people. I think if you'd asked me that maybe many years ago, I probably would say, yeah, people actually care about other people. But what I've seen now as an adult in this world, that I've seen different behaviors that make you wonder, do people actually care about other people?
That's something that I've seen across the board, and a huge reason why I wanted to start Movement Maker and the Call to Rise is because from a young age, I had this huge call to serve in a really big way and a huge call to love humanity and do whatever it took to bring us all back together. And so I think that that's something that movement makers really feel on a deep level.
Absolutely. And imagine if you're a movement maker and you're a person who wants to create change, you may be talking to a lot of people because you're trying to build momentum of your work and you're trying to bring people along the journey with you. And you may at some point say, oh, these people maybe this is not the cause for them. But also, as you talk to them, you can actually learn from people whether there's a cause for them at all, whether they actually have a cause that they want to work on, or they're just like, you know what, I just get up and go to work and I take care of my stuff and take care of my family and I don't have anything else to do. And that's fine. Maybe I only care about these four walls in this home, and that's okay too. But I think that I don't know that I was born to do that, right? I think that, and everybody has their calling, right? I think growing up, I was always looking in the mirror like, why did you get this? Why did you get this? Like, why me, right? Why couldn't I have what that kid has and what that person has who everyone likes and everyone, I always had these questions. And I realized, I was listening to it recently, something that said, everything you've been given was created for you and the gift that you're given to the world. And when I look back at what I was questioning, why am I not getting the type of praise or affirmation from the world the way other people get it? And I would say, as I look back, I'm like, oh, that wasn't where I was supposed to get it. It wasn't supposed to come in middle school. It was supposed to wait till I was past the age where I thought anything was possible else in my life and realized that, oh, you have value long beyond your years. Like if you're waiting for the accolades in middle school and high school, then what happens when you're 40? You're like, well, I got all the praise. I've done my time, right? And those people, sometimes you realize, oh, how do they value it? How do they value so Well, I guess I'm jumping into a philosophy thought, but let me come back to my story. So I was raised in Oakland, California by a single mother. My dad died before I was born. I struggled a lot growing up with just the idea of I was being bullied in middle school, elementary school. I got suspended 20 plus times, all for fighting. As a nurturer raised in my mom's house, I'm taking care of kids. I'm raising kids. Like I know how to be nurturing. But when I go to school, that type of quality is not accepted or respected, and it's always inspected. You too nice, you too kind, you smile too much, you too friendly. Everything is wrong with you. Oh, so I gotta shut those things down. Shut those things down. Shut those qualities down. You can't be too nice. You can't be too friendly. You can't smile too much. You can't be too all those things that were the things that at home get you praise or get you honored because you're helping raise your siblings. You're the oldest. I'm raising kids. I don't even know how to make a kid yet, but I know how to take care of a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how this works. Like how did you get created, first of all? And why am I taking care of you? I know I didn't create you. You know what I'm saying? And I think all the journey of like life that brings us into the world, where like all the things that I was like, this is not how I want to choose this. It's not what I chose. And so when I got the opportunity and I realized that there is a way of changing it, I'm going to college, I'm going to get a good job, I'll make a lot of money, I'm going to live happily ever after. Sign me up for that plan. That's a plan that I sign up for. The all day long happy ever after plan, because this current life, it ain't happy too often, right? And I think that that's when I went to college, graduating as an engineer, started making big money. Like, yes, let's go. We're going happy ever after's on the way. And I realized that I was just at every happy hour. I had a lot of money. I was at every. I didn't miss a happy hour. I mean, I'm an engineer too, and me and my friends we're smart people. We got spreadsheets of like where the free things are at happy hours, where the free drinks and free clubs and free bars and free bands and free food and all. We had it worked out, but I wasn't like happy ever after. It was like Friday 5 p.m. till Sunday about 7:30 p.m. You're like, oh, we back into the grind now. I loved my work, so it wasn't that work was hard. It was that it wasn't the type of happiness that it was like, I'm loving it. I'm so good to go to work. It wasn't, it was like, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna go do the job and I have to do it. And so fast forward in this engineering phase, about 5 years, a calling on my heart says, Ashanti, you should be a teacher. What? You are lying to me. Now, it's one thing if somebody on the outside of your life tells you that you should do something, somebody, a friend, a family member says, oh, you know what? You should be this. You should do that. And you could be like, yeah, don't tell me that. Like, don't talk to me like that. Don't give me your. I don't care about your opinion. That's one thing because you can ignore people on the outside. But when there's a call coming from inside the house,
Call in from inside the house. That is amazing. I love that. Yep.
absolutely. And I realized that the calling inside my soul was like, you should be you should be a teacher. And I was like, teachers are broke. My mom was a teacher. So I'm clear that I'm not choosing to go back to what I grew up in, knowing that we barely got to pick our own cereal on payday. Even on payday. I mean, you may get your favorite cereal on payday. That's your gift, but that box runs out in less than a week and a half, and then you're left with look, plain cornflakes, right? Like that was the way it worked in my house. So I'm talking about maybe third world problems, but I mean first world problems, but I'm talking about like I was clear that I tried to design a life that was gonna not let me ever have to go back to that. Never have to come home and the lights are off. Never ever have to come home and figure out how to pay part of this bill and part of that bill because there's not enough money at the end of the month. Like that's not the lifestyle I was designing for myself. And so when teaching was calling me, I was like, you must have the wrong person because it's definitely not me. And why would I sacrifice what I've already worked hard for other people? And then it kicked in even more. So I went and made more money. I changed jobs, made more money, and then I realized the calling got louder. It was like
What it
you
does.
you can keep running if you want, keep running. And it got louder, and I got to a new project and one of the biggest projects in the Bay Area at the time, and the calling really got louder. And I applied to grad school just because my friend said, "Hey, there's an opportunity, you should apply." And I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I applied anyway on the undercover because I didn't want to let anybody know I was really thinking about it. So I did the application, whatever, got in. And then at my project, I'll tell you, long story short, my project caught on fire, basically. I was out of town. My project caught on fire. Now, that's more job security. If you're building, which is a huge, huge 1 mile square foot floor plan building, catches on
Oh,
fire.
it actually caught on fire.
No, literally fire.
Okay.
Like embers fly 7 to 12 alarm, whatever the highest alarm fire you can have. Like that's
Yeah.
that fire. I mean, that's the job security. Your project is going to last even longer now because now you got a fire project and you got the real project. All that, it's a lot of, you got security in your job. It's not like your job is going away, but your heart is like saying, what do I do now? And I decided that I was going to make a move. And I went back to school, became a teacher. And the first year teaching, I'm failing. Like, what's happening here? First year teaching, I didn't sacrifice a lot in my mind, right? And no one outside knows I've sacrificed. It's not the kids' need to know that I've sacrificed my career for them. It's not their fault. It's my choice. But I realized I'm failing. Like, you're smart and you're failing my class. Why are you failing my class? You're failing algebra. You're smarter than I was at your age. And I love math. You don't have to even like math. I don't care if you don't like math. Just do the work so you can pass this class. Because if you don't pass this class, you don't graduate. Now I'm teaching freshmen, right? So I'm teaching 14, 15-year-olds who think they know everything, who know very little, but you can't tell them nothing anyway. And so you're like, look, you're going to sabotage your 18-year-old self because 3 years down the line, you're going to look back and be like, it's Mr. Branch's fault that I'm not graduating. And I'm going to be like, you lying to me. I told you when you were 14 that you were going to sabotage your 18-year-old self. And now your 18-year-old self is mad at your 14-year-old self because you definitely ain't mad at me. I was there teaching you every day and you didn't do the work. So I would try and paint a picture to them 4 years down the line that what they were doing right now and all of their knowledge was being a disservice to their future selves. And so what I was realizing that most of the thing I needed to do in students and help them was I couldn't do it in the classroom. I'm a math teacher in the daytime. I need to teach you math. I got lessons to teach. I got 30 kids here. I don't really have the time to really do the mentoring work that you need. But what am I learning? Well, you need more mentoring work than you do math work. And I don't have that capacity as a math teacher. Most teachers don't. You got a curriculum you got to get through. You got 180 days of school. You have all of these things, benchmark you have to make. You need mentoring. Why didn't anybody catch you? Now, by the time I got to high school, when I was on my bad road, a middle school teacher caught me. By the time I got to high school, I was on track. I'm going to college. I know where I'm going. I know what I need to do. But this young man, you're a freshman in high school. You don't even have a vision. You're smart and you don't even believe it, no matter how much I tell you. And you rather get mad at me than work with me so I can help you get your education. I already got my education. I'm here trying to I ain't gonna take nothing from you. I want to help you. Job to have longer, deeper, more talks with. That's those 2 or 3 over there, right? And so the 4 Club started out of me just saying, well, last year, I was gonna leave. I mean, I signed up knowing that I was gonna be financially broke, but I wasn't gonna be emotionally broken. I just have to be broken by the fact that I'm ever going to work every day feeling like a failure. I'm not making no money. I'm failing the kids who are here. I gotta fail you. You don't do the work, I'm gonna fail you. I ain't pass people because you want me to cool teacher. You pass because you're smart enough to pass. And that's how the Ever Forward Club started. First year teaching, starting a program. I look back at that picture I took on the couch in my classroom, and I'm like, if you had told me in that when I took that picture, oh, look, Ashanti, it looks like you're starting a nonprofit. I would have firstly told you it's impossible to get more nonprofit than teaching. Like, what is a nonprofit, first of all? But second of all, it don't sound like a good idea because I've already left engineering to become a teacher. Why would I leave this small guaranteed check at the end of the month to go and hunt for my money every month? And I realize now that I run a nonprofit that it is possible to get more nonprofit than teaching. And 2, it's not really fun to go hunting for your checks at the end of every month. But I'm also clear that the work I get to do every day called me. And I'm doing my best to be a vessel that answers the call of the heart, and trying to get out of my head as much as I get in my head a lot, and just be like, okay, what's next? Because I've had to make some big pivots, in this 21 years of this work, right? So we're in 21 years. It's a 21-year anniversary of the work, and we have a lot to do. We have a big vision ahead of us to reach 1 million people around the world, just to remind them, like I did those first young men in that classroom, that you're not alone, that I see you, that you're not invisible, and that there's so much more to you than anybody can see by looking at you. So if you're judging yourself and if you're judging others, then maybe you got to first give yourself a little bit more grace, be more kind to yourself, and recognize that if you're comparing yourself to anybody else out here, like I know about comparing myself to the other people, I was a comparer to other people. They're wearing their masks too, and they just may have more well-designed designer masks, but it doesn't mean that they're not going through some real stuff at the end of the day. That's how it all started.
I want to pause for a quick moment. If what we're talking about today resonates with you, you'll want to check out the Movement Maker Incubator, my 6-month intensive where I guide sacred rebels and changemakers to birth their own movements using ancient wisdom and modern strategy. You can join the waitlist and learn more about this sacred rite of passage for changemakers at globalmovementmaker.com/incubator. Thank you so much, Ashanti. Yeah, that was so rich. And I could see so much of my own path through your story. I loved how, you really fought against your calling because so often that calling seems absolutely ludicrous and makes no sense whatsoever. So I loved that you really pointed that out. And then I loved how you talked about the importance of dropping down from your head into your heart because that is the pathway of the movement maker, because up here it's all wired for safety, and so your inner critic is just going to go on overdrive, like you're not worthy enough, this is stupid, you don't have the skills, you needed another certification. But down in your heart, it's like, man, you're a powerhouse. You have exactly all the answers, all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom right in front of you. And so I'm so glad that you finally decided to follow your heart, because I'm sure you would have been an amazing engineer, but this is absolutely what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, and imagine like when we see young people today, that journey from head to heart is like, I'm thinking when I go to the workshops and I tell young people, look, you're doing a lot of thinking right now. My invitation for you in this workshop is that you don't need to know anything. Because you have enough knowledge already in you. You don't need to do anything special, because just being you right here present is enough. But I'm gonna ask you if you can get more real. And more real doesn't mean like I'm trying to craft who I need people need me to be in my mind. I need to craft this image of what the words I say and how I talk and what I dress and what all the things I've done to like make sure people think of me in a certain way. But I'm asking you, what if you could just be you? What if you could just say and know that the people that you've created around you got you? But if every time you think about saying something real, you have to filter it with the words of like this crew and this people and these people and these people think that this about me, or these people think I should be like this, then I totally miss out on realizing that, well, I'm being who they need me to be. I had a mentor once. It was a coach, but it was a man I met a few times, an older man. I was at Starbucks. We were having a plan call. I was having tech issues, trying to get on the network, and finally I got him on the call. I'm in the earphones. I'm in the middle of Starbucks. I'm at one of the middle tables, so it's kind of like busy. I'm looking around, making sure that no things are gonna happen, no craziness. And he says this. He said, that I'm glad to be on the call with you. He said, Ashanti, how heavy is that crown on your head? I never heard of this phraseology. I never heard this phrase. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, how heavy is that crown on your head? And I'm like, he said, do you understand the question? I said, well, I understand the words you're saying. I don't understand the context of the words. What do you mean by that? And he says, well, he said, what am I asking you? I said to him, well, you asked me, how heavy is this crown on my head? I said, I'm not wearing a crown on my head. And he said, what would you have to believe to let that question be valid for you? And as he started digging past the question into like what it meant, he said, oh, I would have to think that I'm wearing some crown. Like, what is a crown? Well, you have to be valuable, you have to be important. And I realized that question was deeply rooted in how I valued my own self,
Of course.
how I felt my value in the world, whether that was to one person, my family members, or whether it was to the mission of this work, whether it was to being called to a duty that may not have been my choice, right? I mean, if you think about whatever, I don't know all the royalty rules or whatever, but you're in line. You're in line, and then it's your turn, right? Like whatever that means, right? You're born into it, right? Like, oh, you were born with this gift. You were born with this vision. The vision came to you through your being born, and now you have this vision of how you can make the world a better place. And how heavy is it? And when I sat there in that Starbucks, like I feel it right now. I feel it again. I feel it.
I feel it too. Yeah.
The question is, you have to believe that you're valuable, that you're worth something, that you matter. And for much of my life, I didn't believe it. And to that man in the middle of Starbucks is asking me that question, I didn't even give myself permission to believe it. And so on that call that day, it was a new question to ask myself. Why am I really good at working with young people who struggle? Why am I really good at supporting young men who are failing all their classes but are amazing, beautiful hearts, who don't see the beauty in their own self, who don't see the value in their own self? Is because I'm that man.
It's you. Yeah.
It's
It's
my story.
it's your story.
And so when I see them, I don't see through them. I see a reflection of like, I always like to have somebody ask you a real question and then you get stumped because you are wondering if you answer it for real, are they going to like walk away laughing, or are they going to disappear, or are you going to ruin the relationship because you don't believe that they can handle the truth. So you're trying to make up a good answer that's going to keep them around, even though the answer makes no sense whatsoever. And the person who's listening to the answer says, okay, are you sure that's what's going on right now? Are you sure? I'm sensing something else, but I don't know. And that question has not only pivoted my life of realizing that, oh, that's why I do this work. Like it wasn't the calling of being a teacher that was the thing that made it come alive. It was the catalyst to like finding this eventually this question from this man. But along the journey, I've been trying to serve that young man in me who didn't feel worthy enough. I didn't know that this is what was happening. I just was trying to like say, what if I just listened to my heart in this moment? Leaving engineering was not a head decision. It would have been the dumbest. You can't be an engineer and be like, I'm gonna decrease my salary by 66% and still think I'm gonna live a happy life. What? That's not a mathematical decision. That's not an analytical decision. That's a if you on relative scales of intelligence to not smart, that's not a smart move. Because if you're talking about what you're thinking, but if you get clear about who you are, your essence, your heart, the beat, then you know it makes all the sense in the world. And that's why that journey from head to heart becomes so long. It's 18 inches, but it's the longest journey most people travel.
Longest journey they will ever travel is right. Yep. Yep. Wow, what a story. And I love what a difference that man made in the Starbucks. You never realize when walking angels come into your life and are just really reflecting the truth that you need to hear. And it really speaks to something so genuine in movement making, because there's a difference between running a business and running a movement. And I think really the biggest part of movement making is that heart. The business is the head, but the movement is the heart. And when you were taking care and alchemizing that child within yourself, what really is true is that trust. Because these other people that can see your stories in them can feel your heart, can feel that essence, and there's no coercion there. It's literally just like, oh, I found my tribe, I found my people, because we're all really often in these similar ancestral stories. There's this opportunity for alchemy that is just so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder, like, as I think about that, like the alchemy, I think about one of my favorite books, The Alchemist, and maybe 2 years ago, I don't know if it was, I think it was 2 years ago, I got to go to a wedding in Egypt. And so I read The Alchemist. Maybe the first time I was given it was my first year in engineering at a construction project. A guy from the electrical company. It was a consult. He was a salesman, but he came in and he talked to us, and then we connected afterwards. I thought he worked for the electrical company, but he was a consultant sales guy. And then we met, we connected, and he gave me this book, The Alchemist, about this journey. I lost the first. I started reading it, then I lost the book, and I forgot the name of the book, and then forgot who gave me the book, and I was like, okay. Then it went off into the distance. And then literally at some party, somebody gave me the book again. I'm like, I've been looking for this book forever, right? And then that time I finally read it all the way through. And I swear they changed the book. I was like, I don't remember this part and then the first part of the story. I don't remember, because
But
every time
did
I've
they
read
change
it,
the book, or did you change by the
yeah,
time you read the book? Because that has
absolutely.
happened to me so many times.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The book did not change. It was
exactly. I can
me.
promise that.
Absolutely. And every time I've read it since, I've probably read it 10 times. Every time I read it since, a new part of the story, I'm like, what? I don't remember this part. How did this part? Because when you become awakened to the new world in a new way, like yourself in a new way, I'm at a new age, I'm at a new day, I'm at a new chapter
New
of my
dawn.
life. That book continues to, and I give it away to many people. I've given it away in English and in Spanish to many people, and invite them to read it. My godsons, I bribe them to read it and watch it, listen to it on audiobook. I want them to believe in that story of like following your heart and following this thing that sometimes doesn't make any sense. You're like, what am I doing? Why am I here cleaning? Why am I here cleaning crystals on the top of a hill that no one wants to climb up? What's going on here? Well, The opportunity was here.
Mhm.
There's place to sleep, food to eat. There's a opportunity to keep going to the next chapter. So it's not ideal. It's not my dream, but it's getting me too. And man, then that thing starts to illuminate the light for the next thing, right?
It
And
sure
then you're
does.
like, okay. And even when people betray you, that boy in that story got betrayed, heartbroken, like trying to somebody pretending to help you. There's no heartbreak like thinking somebody is there to help you on a journey, and then you trust them, and then you realize you got duped, you got hoodwinked, you got whatever the words you want to put in that place. You are like, I don't believe I just let this happen. And then you have to ask yourself another question: do I trust anybody ever again?
I love that you bring this up because I actually had a psychedelic journey where I was brought Jesus Christ, which is obviously one of the biggest movement makers, right? And first of all, it had me walk with him through the stages of the cross, realizing, I mean, Jesus is such an interesting archetype for this conversation because first of all he didn't choose this. He had a grand calling, right, that really wasn't chosen by him. And then he had his 12 apostles. Jesus was kind of, and as many movement makers are, very isolated from most people because of the power that they hold. Even though that power is through love, it's a lot of power and a lot of responsibility. And so he had his trusted council of the 12 apostles. And it was Judas who came and at the very end, right, when it was really that important. And I think that that's such an important story within the Bible because it shows that story of humanity and betrayal, and that is part of the path. And then lastly, I'll say, the medicine brought me to walking through the stages of the cross. And it's really, I think, that parable of the pain to purpose, the stages and the suffering that he had to get to then be the martyr that really saves us all.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee.
It's all right.
Ooh-wee. That's actually kind of the first time where I actually put the connection in that place of like, well, then if who am I to be complaining of being betrayed? Who am I? Some educator here in the Bay Area, Oakland, California, right? Like trying to do this thing, but like I didn't even make the connection, right? Like he walked here to provide example that even through betrayal, even through being called names, being spat on, even through all of that, you can choose still to love.
Amen.
And I've had many, many examples of times where I've questioned why I care so much. And mostly in times of feeling like it was not taken, not appreciated, not valued. But at the essence, at the heart, I work with the youth at the church I attend, and we talked about you were made for a purpose this past week, right? And it's like, what are you good at? What are you good at? Like, forget what other people think. What are you good at, right? And then really helping them like come to a root of place of like, you're already good at something. You already there's something you like, but you may be valuing it compared to what other people value. And so therefore you're missing out on your gift, your purpose, because you're rooting what you're valuable at and what you're valuable in and what you could be best at because you're connecting it and comparing it to others. And that part was like a reminder to myself as well. Like, oh yeah. In high school, I was very kind. I was nice. I was a photo editor of my school newspaper. I was, I'm at most of the big events because I'm taking pictures of everything. Like I'm a good guy, but I'm also living in a community where still being too nice is not okay. So you put on this edge and you kind of walk with this edge of like, I'm gonna still survive. I remember the first time I was in class, some kid in the back not doing so great in class. I'm arguing with the teacher because she's trying to give me a B. And I'm like, no, I earned an A in this class and I have all my points here to show you. And we're arguing. We're having another argument. And this kid in the back was like, just take your B and accept it. And I said to him, man, I'm not complaining about you and your F back there. So why don't you shut up? Now, I'm not a fighter. I don't fight in high school. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm about to go to college. I'm going to college. I'm leaving Oakland as soon as I graduate high school. And so he walks up to me. I'm in the front row. You know what I'm saying? What's going on here? So he walks up to me. Now I'm not afraid of this kid, but I'm also like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't fight. I'm definitely going to fight in class, right? So he stands there. He's like, what you say? And I said, you heard what I said, right? And the teacher gives us both a referral, both of us. I get a referral. How did you give me a referral when he was standing up in front of me, wants to attack me? And at the end of I got the referral, we talked to the principal, blah, blah, blah. What happened at the lunchtime, my friends were like, dude, Ashanti, look, don't ever let somebody walk up on you like that. I'm like, huh? He's like, look, we would have had your back, but don't ever let somebody walk up on you like that, because if he had hit you, he could have knocked you out and then you would be helpless. Now, these are my friends who fight a lot, right? So they know, hey, if somebody walks up on you, you got to protect yourself. You got to, even if you don't have to have a fist fight, like this moment of like these friends of mine who know the fighting world are like, hey, we need to give you a tip because you're going to get yourself hurt out here in these streets if you don't know how to protect yourself. Now, as an elementary kid, I fought a lot. But since by the time I got to middle school and high school, I'm going to college. I'm going to, and I realized that along the way of my life, I believe God that He's put along my path people has helped me to stay alive and safe. And because there was moments where so I'm saying the words that I want to say to whoever, right? And not knowing that if this person was a more of a wild out person, that I could have been hurt in the moment, right? And I think that moment of like, I didn't even think about that. Like, I'm not thinking about like, how do I protect myself? And I'm trying to take care of my grade. You know what I'm saying? I'm focused on a mission. This kid is he's just noise. I'm focused on this teacher who's messing up my grade because I'm supposed to be going to, I can't have no B's. You know what I mean? And I realized at that moment of like, wow, like my focus was really clear and it was unmovable in terms of how I was going to navigate the world. And I think that as I look back to all the moments of like, yeah, when I was in my wild partying days, I probably drove many times a little too happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I look back and I'm like, yeah, I could probably name one or two that was not a good idea. I was too smart for my own good. Yeah, I can make it all the way. It's only an hour home, right? And realizing that probably wasn't smart. It wasn't a wise idea looking back, but somehow I was protected, even in some of the wildest and sometimes the bad decisions.
I can so relate. I've had so many similar instances, so many similar drive home where I would wake up in the morning and be like, how did I get home last night? And then look out and there's my car, right? Or times where I almost drowned, or times when I was almost kidnapped. I mean, crazy, crazy
Mm,
stories. And these, yeah, just by the grace of God, I was carried. I always did feel that I was protected, and I always felt from a very young age that I had a big calling that
mm,
almost scared me. Like, I have always pushed against, we go back to that resistance. I've
yeah.
always pushed against, who am I to step in?
Mm,
Even when I talk to people and they ask me, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, I teach people how to build movements. I
yeah.
mean, that just seems ridiculous. It's so large, right? I
Yeah.
had another psychedelic journey where I was fighting the whole time around this exact thing. And I said, I don't want that much power. I don't want that much visibility. I don't want that much responsibility. And the medicine said to me, it's exactly that reason why you need to
Mm,
step into that, because we need leaders who don't want that visibility, who don't want that power, and who also takes integrity around what responsibility that you have. Every episode of the Call to Rise podcast is about the changemakers and movements reshaping our world. But the podcast is just the beginning. On my Substack, I open the door wider, sharing my personal journey with movement makers, the wins, the struggles, and the behind the scenes rituals that help leaders birth what's next. If you're ready to go deeper into the frameworks and practices you hear me hint at here, join me at globalmovementmaker.substack.com.
that's beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think that in this work, when you're a person who is giving, comes from a place of giving heart, I've had the two sides of the moments where you're like, I don't want to lose my ability to walk to a grocery store and be able to just wear whatever I'm wearing and have a bandana on my head and just whatever, right? I can't imagine having people always outside of your place. Like I don't want that, right?
Yeah, no interest.
No. And then also like the moments where you're like seeing someone honored for something and you're like, why am I not getting honored for these
Right.
things. Like, and I think that even when the Surgeon General Award came, I was first of all shocked and I was amazed by it. And I was just like, okay, what do we do? How do we like? I imagine that after it happens, like there's gonna be some opportunities. Now in this kind of situation, like I can just I name this in two ways. I say part of my myself was like, okay, we're gonna have to prepare my schedule the week after. There's gonna be like, nope, let's not have no meetings because I imagine there's gonna be some interviews or something. And then I felt so like almost embarrassed. Like came back from DC, medal in hand, crickets.
Really?
It was almost like I laughed. I told my assistant, I was like, "Oh, I feel kind of embarrassed. Like I made us clear my whole schedule out because I'm thinking there's gonna be some interviews, and there not a one, not like few. I'm talking about a zero.
We're talking nada.
We're talking
Yep.
about nada. Not even the local tri-county newspaper in this little area that prints to just 22,000 people. I'm talking about and I was like, I felt two kind of ways about it. I laughed at myself first, like, who do you think you are? Clear your calendar. Like you go, like, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. And that's what I say to myself. That's how I talk to myself. I'm probably my meanest friend for sure. Like
We
that's what
all
you get, you dummy. You thought somebody was going to kind of interview you. Who do you think you are?
Mhm.
And then the second part of my thought from a different archetype of myself was like, I'm actually pretty sad that no matter what, when I look for the world to honor this work, I'm always disappointed.
Now that's some truth right there. Yeah.
And I feel like I recognize that, oh, Shanti, if you don't honor yourself,
Boom. Yep.
what
Yep.
makes you think that these randos out here in the world are going to be honoring you?
Yeah.
So you need to stay committed to your own self and to your vision and what you're doing in the world. And everything else that comes is extra.
Yep.
Everything else that comes is extra. Because you first realized you were called to do this and you didn't do it for any award, any accolades, any prestige. You did it because you want to give back to your community and help young men like you. That's why you did it. And every time I try and think that somebody's gonna invite me to this thing or blah blah blah, or I'm oh, okay, I see what's happening, Ashanti. You're looking for somebody else to honor this gift in you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what I've had to learn. And it's sometimes unless I got to keep learning because
It can sometimes be a day by day practice. Absolutely. A minute by minute practice, right? And thanks so much for bringing that to the table because, I think as part of your Million Mask movement, right? I think that that's so important to bring the vulnerability and the humanity of leadership and of your calling because it is a battle of outer versus inner validation. And at the end of the day, it does live within you.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, wow. I was at a workshop last week at a continuation school, or actually the first week of school, and we have been doing lots of works in continuation schools. These are schools where students who have either are two or they're not have enough credit, so they're not going to graduate from the comprehensive high school, and they have to go to a school where they have to do it a different way. They have to have a different kind of schedule, or they've gotten in some trouble maybe. So there's lots of reasons that students end up in a continuation school. But remember when I did my opening with them, it was something like this. I was saying something like, I have a couple of responsibilities here today because I do care about your education and I do care about you. But if I don't help you see that I care about your education, you're going to be thinking, we're at school. Why is he talking about all this other stuff? And we should be talking about school. And you may also think that I have to be here talking to you about education. I care more about your education than I do about you. So there's a dance I have to play between helping you see how valuable I think your education is and two, how valuable I think you are. But I have to be as honest as I can too. So I'm going to invite you to in this journey with me today is like, I'm going to try and be as honest as I can. And for some of you, when I tell some of my truth, you may see me an emotion pop out because I'm not planning it. I have no emotional schedule that I have to get through on this, my talk with you. It's not memorized. I'm coming from energy source, right? So you may see me feel an emotion and it may come up and I may pause for a second to let the emotion kind of roll through me. I'll be okay. But some of you who've never seen a man stand up in front of you and have emotion, you may think something about it. You may have never seen a man cry or have an emotion that was empathetic and coming from an empathy place. So I'm going to do my best to, first of all, tell you how much I do care about you by being as honest as I possibly can and knowing that I'm also going to have some of you are going to experience a part of this experience that are going to feel really new and different. And I remember as I was trying to prepare how I was going to like layer it out to them, like how honest can I be with you? For some of you, my honesty will be too much for you because your life has never experienced anything like that. For some of you, you'd be like, oh, that ain't nothing. I've been through way worse than that. But I'm not here to compare with you. I'm not here to compete with you. I'm not here to match stories with you. I'm here to tell you that I'm human and whatever you have been through, like I know what it's like to go through tough stuff. And I hear you and I can see you. And you're not invisible to me. I remember as I did that training, we started doing the thing and I was asking questions. No one's raising their hands. No one's raising their hands. They're all like zombies because they've have this image of around each other, with each other, that we're the kind of kids who don't raise our hands. We just sit here passive. And I said, stand up, stand up, stand up. Everyone stand up, stand up, stand up. And everyone stood up and I said, listen, and I'm making this up in the moment. I'm literally making this up and I'm like, this is driving me nuts that everyone's just sitting here like they're being drug along in this experience. And that's not how we do these workshops. So I said, listen, it's a circle. So it's like 50 something of them. I'm walking around the circle and I said, maybe you think that you are just here to just pass the time. So that's not what we're doing here. Like we're going on a journey together. And so what we could do is we could all stand the whole time. Like I'm standing the whole time. So we can just all stand. We can just do the activity on our feet while I'm working through all these pieces. We can do that together. It's not a punishment. It's like, maybe you need your energy in a different shifted, right? So if we need to do our workshop while we just stand, let's all stand. I'm standing. I'm not making you do what I'm not doing. I'm going to stand with you. But let's just move the chairs out of the room and let's just stand, do the workshop standing up. But if you're going to fall asleep here and you're not going to be present here, I want you to know that when I'm asking you a question, you may not have an answer in the moment, but I'm asking you to be engaged. You're not invisible to me. And I remember when I said that, oh my God, and I started looking these young people in the eyes, like I see you. When you don't raise your hand, when you don't respond, I see you. So for students who thought they were invisible, who have been in many classrooms where they felt invisible, that's not what's happening in this moment. If I could have a conversation with you each one-on-one, I would love to do that. But we don't have the time for that. So I'm doing this in a group setting with you in a space where I need you to see that all I can do is right now plant as many seeds as you're willing to take in. And hopefully you may never see me the rest of your life. But hopefully one day this seed that is to remind you that you are enough, that there's more to you than anybody can ever see by looking at you, that don't compare yourself to others because you don't know what they've been through. You don't know what kind of mask they're wearing, that you were made here for a purpose, that you have a gift inside of you that's waiting for you to bring it alive because no one else can bring it alive but you. That moment was when I looked in these young people in the eyes and I said to each of them, as much as I could, to get around the whole room, I see you. You're not invisible to me. And I said, so I want you to be here. Your bodies are here. I need your minds here. So wherever your mind is wandering out there to other things, I'm going to ask you to come back into this space with us and let's go through this experience together because this is what it's about. And I remember that moment of like, sit down now. Sit down. Everyone sit down. Everyone take a deep breath. And that was a pivotal moment in that workshop. And for me, it was like, I don't even know where that came from. I've never said those state words before. But you know what happened? It was what I wish somebody had told me at 15 or 16. It was like the message that somebody that was like percolating in me for years, waiting for it to come forward because no one had ever said it to Ashanti. And so my job is all the messages that I was hoping that down the line somebody would give me, that I give them out as many as generously as possible, freely, and hopefully somebody will remember it, believe it, grab onto it, and absolutely transform the rest of their life. And so if there wasn't for that middle school teacher who got me on the right track, Miss BP, I'll never forget her. She said, Ashanti, life doesn't give you what you want. Life gives you what you get. And you have to make the most out of it. And I'll never forget that sentence in detention, by the way. In detention. In detention, by the way. But while I'm ignoring her, because I'm never going to talk to her again, because I shouldn't be in detention. My friends should be in detention because they put a tack in my chair. And I'm never talking to this teacher again, but I can't have her call in my house because my mom be tripping. So I'm going to come to your stupid detention, but I ain't listening to you. I ain't talking to you. And that changed my life, showing up. And that's what I invite people to do every day. Just show up.
The power of mentorship. They really do. I forget the exact stat, but there is a stat. You might even know it, obviously, if you're in this line of work. But it's if one like mentor shows up in a kid's life, the likelihood of them going to college or like being, more successful in life like jumps up to 90% or something. Do you know the quote
Mm.
that I'm talking about or no?
I know Joshua Shipp talks about this in some of his work, but I don't know the statistics. I'm going to look it up actually.
Yeah.
I know there's a huge power in mentorship, and so yeah, I would need to. But that's a good one to know. I don't know it though.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to end these podcasts on the question of, since one key thing in movement making is legacy. And
Mm.
so, what legacy are you looking to leave behind with your work?
Well, I think the legacy that I am hoping to leave behind is when Ashanti's gone, that and wherever this movement ends up, that the people who've made masks, the people who take this work into the future, they will know that a man gave his life to helping others, not for what it would give him, not for what it would bring, but for the just the mere fact that all the things I went through didn't happen. All they happened to me, but they happened for me to be able to help others who may be navigating similar things. I think that I remember being at a retreat with one of my alumni who was then a man. He was ladies at the time, and I don't have kids, so I think sometimes I go back and forth between like, why didn't I have kids? Why did I choose? When I look at the family tree, when I look at the bottom of my name, it ends right there, and I'm like, I do have an emotional response sometimes around that. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I made the choice. I know I made the choice, but I'm clear. And when I talked about it at this retreat, he said, Branch. Oh yeah,
Take your time.
he said, Branch, you saved my life. So even though you didn't choose to have kids, you were available to me when I was in high school and I needed you. I didn't know I needed you. I knew I needed someone, and you came along. You don't know it. I never told you this, but you saved my life.
Ashanti, you have probably saved so many kids' lives. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. That's the legacy.
that's the legacy. What a legacy to leave. Thank you so much. I feel your heart so, so deeply throughout this entire time together. It reminds me of just how moving you are and how I actually want you more in my life. Like I just think you're amazing. And I would love to have you share, how can people get all up in all of your amazing work and
Let's go.
be part? Let's go. How can they
Let's
get
go.
involved?
Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go. Man, thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you. It comes and I try and just give it room. So thank you for I think it's one of my mentors from afar says that's one of my favorite qualities is I'm a crybaby, And I'm
Oh, I
so
love it.
glad that masculinity didn't chase that out of me because it tried. It tried to chase out feeling and allow myself to be a human who feels real feelings when I'm talking about real stuff. And so I'm thankful that this season of my life I've let the feelings come.
Woo!
I used to be very good at like shutting them down.
I'm
Sometimes
so
now
glad they're not. I'm so glad they're not. It is just so beautiful to be in that warmth and that vulnerability with you, that intimacy. That's what it is. It's intimate.
Yeah, so it's a new quality that I've accepted and I honor it. So we are the Ever Forward Club. You can follow us at anywhere you are on social media or LinkedIn or at Ever Forward Club. And then for myself, I'm Branch Speaks. So that's at Branch Speaks. So anywhere that you are on social media or out in the LinkedIn world, or you can find me at Branch Speaks. And if you want to make a mask, you can find our work at, let's go to the main website, is everforwardclub.org, everforwardclub.org. And anywhere there, you'll be able to make a mask. Find the link to make a mask. And we would love to have you be a part of this journey. They're all anonymous. We have masks from more than 100 countries. And
Can you
so
say a
thank
little bit about what the million, we didn't even touch on really the million movement. So I'm probably going to have you come on again and we'll talk about that. But can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. So the Million Mask Movement is a global campaign. We were featured in a documentary called The Mask You Live In, which is about masculinity. And in this documentary, we did an activity with a group of boys in Oakland around this idea of a mask. We call the mask is what we let the world see. The front of the mask or what are the qualities about ourselves that we gladly let the world see. We ask people to just share 3 words. And then we think about the back of the mask. So things I don't usually let people see. So it's a 3-step process. We draw a little picture. You write 3 words on the front, 3 words on the back. You can share your city, age, gender, like whatever you want to share about information about yourself, and that's the mask. And they're all anonymous. We've had masks from over 100 countries around the world, and we invite people every once in a while, just check in with yourself. What mask am I wearing today? It may be different today than it was last year. So if you haven't yet made one, we invite you to go make a mask. You can make a mask at Million.org. That's the site where people can make a mask. They're all anonymous. And we invite you, if you get inspired, invite somebody in your life, share it with somebody, tell them, maybe you find somebody you really trust and you can say, hey, can we talk about these masks together? And then you both make a mask and talk about it, right? But I think it's a beautiful connection piece. It's a way of us reminding ourselves that, yeah, I sometimes wear a mask, or maybe all the time I wear a mask. And where do you get to just take that mask off and just be?
Take that breath, Ashanti, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashanti. That was just, speaking of, a breath of fresh air. I hope all of our listeners that you were as inspired as I was. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
Bye now. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Call to Rise. If today's conversation stirred something in you, subscribe and share it with a fellow movement maker. And join our community at globalmovementmaker.com. Till next time, keep leading with courage, keep weaving ancient wisdom with modern strategy, and always remember to answer the call.